you should be aware that the application designer has a bit changed behavior when you are, especially when you are working in clusters. If you make a change on one cluster, you are designing and making changes on one cluster, the rest of the clusters are synchronized on time basis. So sometime it happens that you had made a change, a complete change on on one of the on one of the clusters, and the other clusters replicate the original change or the other change into all of them. So if you have any problem with this kind of behavior, you should switch off the other clusters for a while and make all the changes, and then turn off the close clusters. In this case, the latest cluster will replicate all the information to the other clusters. The next thing is, whenever you're using the application designer in a live environment, you have to be aware that the application designer, whenever you're working on an application designer, the application which you are working on start behaving abnormally. So if you are making any changes to an application, make sure that the users are not logged in for that particular application. They can work on the other applications of Maximo, but for instance, if you are making changes in the service request, then make sure that they are not logged in the service request. The other quick advice is for the XML backup. Whenever you are making any changes to the application, just take an XML export, save it, and take an XML backup and make all the changes. And in case if you have if the changes gets corrupted or the things which you want are not appearing, you can easily come back with the original backup file. So you just have to export the backup and export the XML and then import it back, and it's just a 2-minute job. And then you can have multiple application properties which you can change through XML. You can autosave functionality if you want the application to change. For all the changes you are making or entering the data, you want it to be autosave like Word and all that. You can easily put a small code snippet in the XML code, and it will start doing an autosave for you. So that's pretty much it. And the scenario, a small slide on the scenario, what we have used today. We had a Maximo 7.5 system set up based on Windows 2008, and SQL Server was running as a DB. We worked on this application. The Notepad editor is a good tool and a free tool to use and change the edit any XML. And the application server was 7.1 WebSphere. So any questions? I love to hear any questions. You can email me on for any questions. If you have, you can definitely in the email. I'll write down my email. And okay, so I've got few hand raised. So Camilla, can you come up with your question, please? Hello?
I don't have any questions.
Is this Camilla?
Yes.
Okay. You raise your hand. Is there anything which I can answer?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then I have Rupali. Okay. Can we associate e-signatures to a button? There's a question from where's the Oscar? Rupali Joshi. Can we associate a e-signature to a button, for example, select groups on user application, and for reason why adding or removing a group associated to a user? Okay, so we have 3 questions over here. Can we associate an e-signature to a button? Select groups on user application. Select groups. Okay, for this question, can we associate an e-signature to a button? Select groups on user application, and for reason why adding or removing to a group associated to a user. I'm trying to understand the question. I couldn't understand it properly. I think I'll come back to the question asked, and we'll go from there. And the next question is, can we add width attribute to multi-part text box and have same width for all the fields in 7.5 version? Yes, you can have width attribute to a multi-part text box and have the same fields. So the answer to the question is yes. And another question from Tony Neal, he's saying, can you pass parameters from the records to the web page tab? Can you pass parameters from the record to a web page tab? To do this, this will involve a lot of Java customization, where you want to pass parameters, and the Maximo integration framework will be involved. But definitely you can do that, and it's not an easy job, but like creating a web page on a Maximo. But definitely you can easily pass on any parameters values from Maximo to the application, but that will be dealt externally. It will be coming externally from Maximo application to that particular application. So I hope this answers the parameter question. Any other questions? Any other questions so far? Okay, so we will end up the session, and thank you very much for attending, and we'll send a survey form shortly, so to see how much you like the webinar, and what do you think about the webinars which MACS are conducting on every Wednesday. Thanks again. Thank you very much for joining the session.